There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Honorable members, the first item on the order paper is questions addressed to the Deputy President. Let's just remember that you may press the talk button on your desks if you wish to ask a supplementary question. The first question has been asked by the Honorable Singh, and I'd like to call upon the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Amnesty International report to which the Honorable Member refers is based on some data that they collected in 2011 through case studies that were done in 2 of our provinces. And the government itself has reported before on the relatively high rates of maternal mortality, and it is unlikely that as a country we will meet the Millennium Development Goal target by 2015 in this regard. The government, though, through its Department of Health, has taken steps to expand access to services for pregnant women and their infants through the various healthcare projects that we have. And in this regard, we've also come up with a 3-pronged approach or strategy, which is 1, a district-based clinical specialist team process, a school-based primary healthcare services process, and a municipal ward-based primary healthcare. And this has agents that go around the municipal wards. The district clinical specialist teams are part of an effort to strengthen the district healthcare system to improve the quality of care that our government gives to mothers, to newborn children, to reduce mortality and improve health outcomes in these groups. Now, the impact of these programs, they include what we have observed as the decline of HIV transmission from mother to child from 8% in 2008 to 2% in 2011. This is a result of the progress that we are making in ensuring that HIV-positive mothers are receiving early antenatal care and antiretroviral treatment. Maternal and child health specialists have been placed and deployed in each health district as part of a concerted strategy to improve clinical governance and overall quality of care. And the proportion of pregnant women accessing antenatal care before 20 weeks across all provinces has increased quite significantly. And in this regard, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, we found that our programs are bearing fruit and we're making a significant impact in improving the health of pregnant mothers and reducing the child mortality levels in our country. Thank you.
The Honorable Madela. Honorable Singh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hope you're not asking me to sing. Thank you, Honourable Deputy President, for that response. Yes, indeed. South Africa can pride itself in the great strides that have been made in dealing with those who have the HIV virus and educating people about HIV and AIDS. This, Honourable Deputy President, is welcome when we look at the dark days of denialism, when somebody in this House said that HIV did not cause AIDS. And also from the days when an ANC MEC in KwaZulu-Natal took his own government to the Constitutional Court when he challenged Premier Mchali, when Premier Mchali authorized the giving of nevirapine to pregnant mothers. That was a sad day in our history. Also, I think we have done well, Honorable Deputy President, in educating men that it is a myth that the status of a person who is HIV positive will be reversed if they have sex with a virgin or a child, and other myths that you would not contract the virus if you have a shower after having unprotected sex with a person who is HIV positive. However, Honorable Deputy President, these gains that South Africa has achieved, and they are considerable gains in reducing the disease, despite trying circumstances, will definitely be reversed if we do not deal comprehensively with the findings of the report that was published by Amnesty International. Now, we understand that the report was just case studies in 2 areas, but if it is widespread, Honourable Speaker, then we are in for serious challenges. So we are pleased that the Deputy President is giving us an assurance that the healthcare system can accommodate these kinds of challenges. But we hear often, Honourable Deputy President, of clinics that are understaffed, clinics that do not
Yes,
have...
Honorable Chief Whip.
Clearly, that's a statement. It's not a follow-up question. What is the question?
Yes, Honorable Singh. Can you be... In fact, your time has expired, but I'll allow you if you have a question.
Honourable Speaker, the question is, and if the Honourable Chief Whip of the ruling party didn't interrupt, I would ask, can the Honourable Deputy President assure us that all clinics will be adequately staffed, that they will have the necessary drugs there, and that people will not be humiliated when they go in those clinics because their status is often divulged to members of the community? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, I can say that we face a number of challenges, and we are recognized around the world for being the leading country that has taken strong and effective steps to deal with the HIV pandemic. And we are also having to deal with various other challenges in relation to how our healthcare system functions in clinics, in hospitals. I will be in Mpumalanga myself on Friday and will be visiting a number of clinics in that province, and I'll be doing so just to go and see for myself. And thereafter, we will want to take remedial action where we find that there are weaknesses. I'll be accompanied by the Minister of Health and a number of officials in his department. So we are taking steps. There are challenges, and I don't think we can ever want to deny that we face challenges, but we're taking steps to correct, to address those challenges. So you can be rest assured that the government is not sitting on its laurels. It is taking action where it is required, and we will solve all our problems. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Kado from the DA.
No,
It's a DA member, Kado.
no, can't be. I think that must be a mistake, Madam Speaker. I pressed the button first.
Your name is lower down. The first DA member who pressed the button is Kado.
It cannot be.
No, I'm just referring to what is presented to me here.
Sorry,
By
Speaker,
the-
I'm happy to give the question to my colleague.
Please. Okay, Honorable James.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a visit to Port Elizabeth's Livingston Hospital revealed major failure in the national department and the Eastern Cape's Health Authority's management of the medicine and pharmaceutical tender process. The result of which is that that hospital is running out of multi-drug resistant TB drugs and will run out of antiretrovirals to deal with HIV. They have run out of asthma pumps and medication for hypertension already. Would the Deputy President make a commitment in this House that he will engage with Health Minister Aaron Matsledi to find a solution to the perennial stockout problem when it comes to HIV/AIDS and its nasty friend, the co-infective TB drugs, and to report on progress that he makes to this House? I thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
You will be pleased to know, Honorable Member, that the Minister of Health and myself are in continuous conversation as a part of the participants in SANEC about some of the challenges that you are talking about. So the availability of medication in our various clinics and hospitals is a topic that we keep talking about, and we're looking very closely at the causes of those challenges and problems. So it's a matter that continues to enjoy attention, and we are solving a number of problems in those provinces and those districts where they prevail. And I'm sure that the Minister of Health, if he were here himself, would testify to the fact that the very one that you have referred to has come before his desk and it is being attended to. So it's an ongoing process, and we're happy to come back and report to Parliament about the progress that we are making as we roll out more effective healthcare to our people. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Filtane.
Honorable Speaker, I want to withdraw. I must have pressed a little too early. Mine is a follow-up question on the second question that the Deputy President will be responding to. I'm sorry.
The Honorable Machobeni from the EFF.
Sorry, Speaker, I've made a mistake.
The Honorable Mahlalela from the ANC.
No, thanks, Honorable Speaker. Ngibonge kusekela mongameli ngempendulo lekanikete tona. Lengitsandza ukulandzelela kumsekela mongameli kutsi recently the Minister of Health has launched a program or initiatives called Mom Connect. I just want to check the extent to which this program will have an impact in relation to access to antenatal health care for people in particular living in the rural areas, as well as the challenges around mobile clinic and emergency services in terms of access to transport for people living in the rural areas. Thanks very much.
Honorable Deputy President.
The Mom Connect program is actually becoming quite popular and widespread. We have found that a number of people, and indeed living in rural areas, are participating in it. And even those who will have challenges in relation to transport at the district level will be finding that assistance will be at hand, and it's a particular problem that has been raised and is being addressed as we speak. But just to say that the Mom Connect program, which enables people to, through internet, to participate in a program in large numbers that is going to have an impact on their health and improve healthcare, is going to be quite effective, and we would like to spread it around the country quite more than what we have now. So it is being rolled out. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Maxson.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, despite hope for the decline of new HIV infection, recent statistics indicate that in actual fact, new infections continue to be on the increase. Deputy President, please provide a scientific explanation to this House why this is so. Despite the huge and costly HIV campaigns championed by the Department of Health and all other departments, may the argument go beyond the human behavior factor, because human behavior does get influenced every day by the media. Is it not perhaps because there is not enough exemplary moral leadership by the executive of this country, especially your president? Thank you.
The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, I can say to the honorable member that the question that she has raised is a question that we are addressing at the SANEC level. We're going to be having a plenary shortly, and the increase in new infections, if members will listen, because we are dealing with quite a serious matter that affects the lives of many South Africans. The increase in the number of infections is a matter of concern to all of us. We've been witnessing much higher increases, particularly amongst the youth, and there are quite a number of reasons why this is so. We are going to be probing them. Indeed, it's not only a question of whether the media is spreading the information or not, or whether the leadership that is in this House also has a role to play in being exemplary and in spreading the message. And the message that we are spreading is that we would like young people, particularly because they are so exposed, to abstain much longer from participating in sexual activity at a young age. And we are going to be ensuring that the message, the awareness campaigns that we have to embark on are put at a much higher tempo. The SANEC plenary, which will meet in a few days, will be dealing with all these challenges. And I'm sure that after that SANEC plenary, we will be able to make a number of announcements with regard to the programs and activities that we are going to embark upon to stem this high tide of the increase in infections. The new infections in our country are quite alarming at this stage, and we would like to reverse that trend. And we will be taking steps to reverse the trend. But the message that should go out, quite honestly, is that it is not only the role of one person, it is our collective role. All of us as leaders, as seated in this House, we have a role to play when it comes to curbing the AIDS pandemic. And let us go out and play our role. Thank you very much.
We now come to question number 6 that has been asked by the Honorable Filtane. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As the leader of government business, as soon as I was appointed, I intended and still intend to do so to meet the leaders, the parliamentary leaders of all parties. And I started with that process and was able to meet, if I can say so, with the leader of the official opposition. And we had a discussion and outlined to him the type of engagement that I would like to have, not only with himself as leader of the official opposition, but with all other leaders. And to this end, I have sought in the last 2 months to arrange appointments with the other leaders of the parties that are represented here. In some cases, we actually settled on appointments, but we had to shift and postpone those meetings because of my tight program. I then got involved in the Lesotho process, and in some cases, some of the leaders were not able to meet me when we were meant to meet. I intend to continue with this resolve to meet all the parliamentary leaders of various parties. And I would actually like to have a meeting with them before we adjourn for this year. And I've already started a process of getting my office to try and settle an appointment for the 18th of November, after my birthday, so that I can have breakfast. I can have breakfast with the various leaders of the political parties. And in that meeting, we would like to have an engagement with the various leaders on issues of common interest. Matters of national importance will be discussed at that meeting, and I'm hoping that the leaders will make themselves available for the 18th. If they are not available on the 18th, we will set another date, but the intention to meet the leaders of the various parliamentary parties is there, and I'm looking forward to having a meeting with them as the leader of government business. Thank you.
The Honorable Filtane.
Honorable Speaker, it is absolutely pleasing to hear the swift response of the Honorable Deputy President to a letter dated the 30th of July by UDM requesting this kind of meeting. I just want to get your assurance, this is a question without a question mark, that in that meeting, will you definitely consider, I would like for this to be put in the agenda, will you definitely consider the following matters, which I know were raised in our letter to you? The allocation of more time to the smaller parties. Now, contrary to what members of the ruling party will expectedly jump to, we are not asking for time from the ruling majority party. We want a more rational allocation of time, because practically it is very difficult, unless we are not regarded as qualified members of parliament, it's very difficult to develop a rational debate inside 3 minutes. We need more time. Time and time again, the majority party has admitted that it is unable to overcome some of the challenges of our society. You need, the majority party needs an input from this side of the House. That is the basis of it all. Also, funding legislation, those are some of the issues that
Honourable
we request
Member,
you
your time has
to
expired.
include. Thank you.
The Honourable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I can say that at that meeting, we will be prepared to discuss anything under the sun, including the allocation of time, funding legislation, and indeed anything of national importance. So I'm happy to give the member the assurance that the agenda will not be limited. It will be as broad as they want it to be, and we will want to discuss matters as effectively as possible and find solutions to some of the challenges. And there are many challenges that minority parties face, the challenges that they face, and we will find answers to all those problems. Thank you.
The Honourable Maimane.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, Leader of Government Business, since our first meeting in July, which I appreciate, I've written to your office 3 times, and I hold up this one particular copy that acknowledges receipt of the email. I wrote again on the 22nd of August. Here's another email. I wrote again in October asking simply, Deputy President, that in fact, since then, I've spoken to different staff to schedule a follow-up meeting between yourself and myself, which I appreciate that one has been scheduled. But Deputy President, I want to thank you for that commitment. Here's my challenge though. When is President Zuma going to appear in this House? You see, I think we can agree as leader of government business, that in fact it's fine for the president he wants to go to the National Council of Provinces, but he must come here for accountability. This is where he's accountable. Is he going to be accountable for Nkandla, for the electricity crisis, for the levels of unemployment that are rising, for Gupta Gate, for the crime? Deputy President, as leader of government business, Rosatom, we can keep going. Are you going to ensure that the president complies with the rules of this house, that he must be here 4 times a year? So I'd like to know if you're going to put forward a commitment. When will President Zuma appear before the National Assembly? I thank you very much.
The Deputy President.
Madam Speaker, we will all recall that the President, to be more specific to the question that Honorable Maiman is raising, the President did appear before this House on the 21st of August. And when he appeared, he answered 6 questions that had been put to him. He was able to answer 3 of those questions. And he was not able to complete his answers to all the questions that had been posed, largely because of the incident that occurred here. And that incident is currently under review, is currently being handled by a committee, and that committee still has to complete its work. But much more than that, the President issued a statement on the 19th of October in which he said, and some people had gone public to newspapers where they were seemingly suggesting that the President will no longer attend to parliamentary responsibilities. And the President's office issued this statement which read, "The President continues to meet his parliamentary obligations. The President responds to oral questions 4 times in a year in the National Assembly. And the President continues to respond to written replies." The President is doing that from members of this very Parliament. That's what the President is doing. And the President will tomorrow be addressing the NCOP. And the President is very clear about his own responsibilities. And when he appeared here, members of this very House prevented the President from answering all the questions that he wanted to answer. So what more do you want? It is these very members who actually stood in the way of the President answering questions. Now, the President has a responsibility which he will not shake away from. That is what he was elected for. So,
On a point of order.
let us be clear about things like that.
On a point of order.
Thank you, Mayor.
What is the point of order, Honorable Lozi?
I think the Deputy President must not make conclusions on behalf of the powers and
No,
privileges
that's not a
committee.
point of order.
No, Madam Chairperson, I'm saying the issue is under sub judice. There was a ruling in this House
There
yesterday.
is no
that we
point,
cannot
that's not
make
a point
conclusive
of
remarks.
order, Honorable Lozi.
It is. He's anticipating, and there was a rule yesterday in the House.
It's not a point of order. Take your seat, Honorable Lozi, so we
Speaker.
can proceed.
Speaker.
I now call upon Honorable Nkomo.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Maimane, you've had your chance to
No, I
ask.
know that, but I'm afraid the Deputy President blamed another process and not answered the
Honorable
question. When will
Maimane,
the President appear? It's as simple as that.
Honorable
If you
Maimane,
can't
please,
just prove the point.
please take your seat.
Ask the Deputy President to answer the question.
Take
please.
your seat, Honorable
Please,
Maimane.
Speaker, let him answer the question.
Speaker,
Honorable Nkomo
Speaker,
of the IFP.
Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable Shibambu, please take your seat. I want to
We've
proceed.
got the right to speak in this House.
No,
Why-
you
why
can't
are we
just
going to
speak.
deny the right to
You can't just speak anytime you want to speak.
But when we call to be recognized, you
No,
must recognize her.
Honorable Shibambu, I have recognized Honorable Nkomo from the IFP.
Because you're making wrong rulings.
It's
We
her
want to call you
chance
to
to
order
speak.
for wrong rulings. You
Please
must allow
take
us
your
to do
seat.
that.
Take your seat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Nkomo, please
Thank you
proceed.
very much, Honorable Speaker. This is to our Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President, in your opinion, is the current relationship and oversight between the executive and parliament conducive to an effective and working parliament? How can the relationship between the executive and parliament be improved? Because it seems to be strained. Thank you.
The Deputy President.
I should say that, Honorable Speaker, the relationship between the executive and parliament is a relationship that is enshrined in our constitution. It's a relationship that should be rule-based. It's a relationship that should be based on respect of each other. What I do know is that the President respects this House. He has deep respect for this House. And he is prepared to execute his task as the President of the Republic in honoring the oath that he took. And what we would like to see as members of the executive is to see a relationship between Parliament and the executive functioning well. But right now, it's a relationship, yes, that's not functioning as well as we want to. And it is precisely this that, as leader of government business, that I would like to address in my meetings with leaders of the political parties. And it becomes very difficult when there is howling and screaming and shouting to have a reasonable relationship. Now, if you want to promote a good relationship, you've got to create a climate, a conducive environment for that relationship to thrive. And for as long as the type of behavior that one is getting from members of the parties in opposition persists, we will not have a good relationship between Parliament and the executive. Now I want to call upon members of the opposition parties
Speaker.
to be respectful to the President of the Republic, to be respectful to the office of the President of the Republic.
Speaker, on a point of order.
What is the point of order, Honorable Member?
The opposition doesn't have to do anything. The rule is laid out in the Constitution and in the
Honorable
rules of this
Member,
House.
allow the Deputy President to finish.
If the opposition does not need to do anything, then stop complaining. That's exactly what you should do, because if you want, it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. If you want a good relationship between the executive and this House, then it must be mutually beneficial, and it must be executed on both sides.
Point of order,
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
What's the point of order?
The point of order that I rise to raise with the Deputy President is that if you want to lead us in concluding that there is no honor amongst these honorable people, can he please stop misleading the House? Please.
That's not a point of order, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, I now wish to invite Reverend Mishwe to ask the final supplementary question.
Thank you, Speaker. the first democratic president of the new South Africa, the late President Nelson Mandela, used to hold regular meetings with leaders of the opposition, not only to streamline the political arrangements of the government's legislative program in the National Assembly, but to also get their opinions on important matters facing the nation. I'm delighted that the Deputy President sounds like he's planning to emulate him in this matter. What I want to know, Deputy President, is whether you will consider informing the President of the country, President Jacob Zuma, about your meeting with leaders of the opposition on the 18th of November and convey the request of leaders of this House to meet with him also before Parliament rises towards the end of this month. We believe such a meeting will help to foster greater cooperation between all parties in this House. Thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, I'd like to say to Honorable Reverend Meshwe that the President of the Republic is well aware of this meeting that is being planned for the 18th, and in fact, he inspired it. He is the one who said, why don't you do this? So that meeting will take place with his full knowledge. And let me just say that the President has had a number of meetings with some members of the opposition parties. And it is within his program that he would like to meet more and more of members of the opposition party. And obviously, when he meets them, one, he will not be insulting them. Two, he will not be screaming and shouting at them. And he will be showing total respect to them because he remembers one thing. Much as they are in the minority in Parliament, they are leaders of our people. They are here because they were elected by our people to be here. And that only makes him respect them, recognize them, and want to work with them. That is the approach of the President. Now, if leaders of political parties are going to be insulting, they are going to be disrespectful, and they are not going to recognize the position that he and other leaders hold, then it makes it very difficult for that type of meeting to take place.
Speaker.
So let us be aware that the President wants to meet various political party leaders.
Can I call a point of order, please?
Honorable Shibambu, what is the point of order?
Currently, Cyril is saying that, well, Honorable Ramaphosa is saying that leaders of political parties are disrespectful and are insulting. What is he talking about? Because he's casting aspersions on us as leaders of political parties.
Honorable Chair.
And really is not assisting us.
Honorable Shibambu, that's not a point of order.
Yes.
It's a point of your opinion on
And
what the
disrespect
Honorable...
to the Deputy President. You call him Cyril.
Honorable members, we now move...
Madam Deputy Speaker.
No, Honorable Likota, what are you rising on?
Madam Deputy Speaker.
I became Speaker long ago, not Deputy Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I humbly rise on an issue that I really think I don't want to be part of the raucous. But an impression must not be created in the House that we can only expect to be addressed by the President and the Deputy President on condition we behave in some way that they dictate to us.
Honorable Likota, please
cannot be subject to that.
Please raise that issue when you meet the Honorable Ramaphosa. We now come to question number 7 that has been asked by the Honorable Masango. And may I take the opportunity to remind members, when we get to supplementary questions, the supplementary questions must be based on the original question. We shouldn't take the opportunity of the supplementary question to then divert and go off to some other question that in fact has nothing to do with the original question on the order paper. Honorable President, the Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, considerable progress has been made in restoring security and political stability in the Kingdom of Lesotho. And this follows on the unfortunate events of the 30th of August. And as part of SADC, we have met after the SADC leaders, the double troika plus two, the two being the DRC and Tanzania, who met here in Pretoria. They appointed us as a facilitator, and as facilitator, we proceeded to Lesotho and have had a considerable number of meetings with various political players and other role players in Lesotho, including meeting with His Majesty the King, Letsie III, leaders of various political parties, church leaders, and NGOs, and members of parliament. And on the 2nd of October, all political parties that are represented in parliament signed what we called the Maseru Facilitation Declaration, where, amongst other things, all these parties committed themselves to facilitate the holding of early elections in February 2015. And elections were due to be held only in 2017, but when the leaders met in Pretoria, they realized that the only way to restore stability in Lesotho was to bring forward the elections. And the commitment that has been made by parties is in line with the analysis that was made by the leaders in SADC. So they have agreed to this. And this also led to the parliament being reopened. So parliament was reopened on the 17th of October. And we then proceeded, after parliament was successfully opened, Madam Speaker, to sign what we've now called the Maseru Security Accord, where we sought to restore peace and security in the Kingdom of Lesotho by getting the army and the police force to start working together. And one of the ways to achieve this objective was to get 3 leaders of the security forces, the leader of the army, General Kamodi, the leader of the police, Commissioner Tswana, and Major General Mahau, to take a leave of absence. And we're rather pleased that these officers have agreed to take a leave of absence after they realized that the tension that existed between the police and the army was bringing a measure of instability in Lesotho. Lesotho is now enjoying a good measure of stability and peace as the nation prepares itself to go to elections. And one of the objectives that we have as SADC, having set up a mission in Maseru, is to help with the depoliticization of the Lesotho Defense Force, as well as the Lesotho Mounted Police, and to work with all the role players in that country to ensure that we have a peaceful election in February. His Majesty the King is still to pronounce a date for these elections, and we're hoping that once that date is announced, Parliament will be dissolved, and the various political parties will then go to the hustings and campaign amongst Lesotho nationals for a new parliament to be elected and a new government to be elected. Now, all this, Madam Speaker, we are doing through the spirit of international solidarity. We find that the interests of the people of Lesotho are not only intricately linked with the interests of the people of South Africa, but of the whole region. Now, this is great credit to SADC as a whole, that SADC leaders were able to act very quickly and swiftly to restore peace and security in the Kingdom of Lesotho. And due credit must also go to the Basotho themselves for being steadfast in their commitment to having Lesotho as a democratic country. And so they are going to go to elections, and I think we should just support their resolve to be democratic and to elect a new government. Thank you very much.
Honorable Masango.
Honorable Speaker, may I address you?
On what, Honorable Ndlozi?
Thanks. There's a rule here that the Deputy President must speak for 3 minutes. I did not want to
I
disrupt him.
also have the
But he has
option to
spoken-
add 2 minutes, and
But that,
therefore he has spoken for 2 minutes more, which I have as a chairperson, the right to give him when I know that the information he's giving to the House is critical.
Okay.
So it is within the rules. Please take your seat, Honorable Ndlozi. Honorable Masango.
Ngiyathokoza mawunomlomo ohloniphekileko. Honorable Deputy President, in your assessment, are you confident that peace and stability has now returned to Lesotho for parties to be able to campaign and that parties to the agreement will respect the time frame for the holding of general elections in 2015?
Honorable Deputy President.
Madam Speaker, I have reason to believe that peace and security is being restored in the Kingdom of Lesotho. We remain engaged as SADC. SADC, composed of the various countries in our region, has deployed a number of officials and officers who are helping in terms of supporting Basotho nationals and the government of Lesotho to move towards elections. So we are monitoring the situation on an ongoing basis, and there's a great deal of cooperation between the SADC officials and the SADC office and the government of Lesotho, and indeed the various political parties. We believe that they will be able to proceed to the elections in February and hold free and fair elections. Thank you.
The Honorable Mbele.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. Honorable Deputy Presidents, while we are happy to support our country in giving assistance to our regional neighbors, we are also aware that there are still South African police officers deployed in Maseru and other parts of Lesotho to protect and guard Prime Minister Thomas Thabane and other opposition party leaders. So we would like to know how many SAPS officers are deployed in Lesotho. Is their deployment part of the negotiated settlement that you mediated as the SADC facilitator? And on what dates will these officers come back to South Africa to protect our citizens in the face of increasing crime levels?
Honorable Deputy President.
I should say that I'm not at the moment aware of the total number. The number fluctuates from time to time. And let me say that the component of security officers in the form of police and also others that we have deployed in Lesotho has been done at the SADC level. And a number of countries in the region, Namibia, to be specific, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Malawi have contributed members to the team that we now have in Maseru, or in Lesotho. And this team is meant to be in Lesotho right up till the elections. So we're looking at a period just beyond February of next year. That's the time that we will have them on the ground to help stabilize the situation and to make sure that we consolidate the peace and security that we have achieved. This is a contribution that we have to make as members of SADC, and indeed other countries are doing precisely the same. So South Africa is not the only one that has deployed or deployed people in Lesotho. A number of other countries have done so, and we're working in great cooperation with all of them. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Holomisa.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy President, your good work in Lesotho is commendable, sir. However, don't you think that SADC as a region need to consider sustainable strategy to minimize these incidents and conflicts
through regional integration in the areas of finance, security, as well as infrastructure. Masingabi zi-firefighters kuphela. Nathi xa sinengxaki masikwazi ukuncediswa ngabo. Apha sibelwa impahla, inkomo, zirhino, abantu babaleke abalapha kuthi bozifihla ngapha abangapha beze ngapha. So ingati masesiyithatha le nto ibe kwenye level. Singapheleli nje uba ngo-Father Christmas and firefighters. Enkosi.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Holomisa, I wouldn't call our involvement in Lesotho or characterize it as South Africa being Father Christmas. I think we have interests too that as South Africa we have to advance and protect. You will recall that at an economic level, we are intricately linked with Lesotho in many, many ways. We have the SACU process between ourselves and Lesotho and a number of countries in the region, but we also buy quite a lot of water from Lesotho. The water that we get in the Gauteng area, and some of it is spilling towards the Free State, is from Lesotho. So when we take action, we are also protecting our own interests. We are acting in our own interests, and one should never see it or dismiss it as us acting as Father Christmas. We obviously extend our cooperation with countries in the region to other matters way beyond just political matters. We are also involved. Into Zamaphoyisa, we are also involved. So our involvement with various countries in the region is multi-pronged. It's not limited to one issue only. And of course, South Africa should never consider itself to be more important than other countries or being a Father Christmas. We get a lot of support from them, and so when they are going through stress and difficulties, so must we support them. That is what Oliver Reginald Tambo taught us, that we should be fired up with the spirit of international solidarity, and we are acting it out. For we too, it's international solidarity. Let's Thank you.
The Honorable Morapela.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, despite this being a SADC mandate, is it not ironic and speak of double standards that South African can negotiate democratic settlement in the Lesotho with a straight face, while opposition parties are struggling to exist and to hold executive to account here in Parliament, without risking being sanctioned and dragged into kangaroo court? By the way, charity begins at home. After all, President Zuma once said in this house that opposition parties have no manner that government is run because they are minorities.
The Honorable Deputy President.
I did not get the gist of the question, but for what it's worth, because I didn't get a sense that there was a question there, say for a comment, the government of the Republic of South Africa does everything to advance the interests of the people of this country. We're not only acting to advance the interests of other people, and when challenges occur, even in other countries in our region, we are duty-bound, as we are seeking to advance our own interests, to intervene and to help where we can. And I don't see any irony there, because we are acting in our own self-interest. We are advancing our own interests, and if members do not see those interests that we are advancing, then I would say that we are all blind. Thank you.
We now come to question number 8 from the Honorable Likota, the Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, on the question of non-governmental organizations. The government administers the Register of Non-Profit Organizations in terms of the Non-Profit Organizations Act of 1997. The Register of Non-Profit Organizations is a voluntary registration facility that enhances the credibility of the registered non-profit organization as it reports to a public office. The NPO Directorate holds information about registered NPOs for the public to access. This increases transparency and accountability of those organizations beyond its own immediate role players. It also contributes to better governance, as a registered NPO must comply with the requirements of the NPO Act. The NPO Act itself, the registration rather, it gives the NPO status. It is also a funding requirement for most donor organizations who want to fund NPOs to know that they comply, that they are registered, and they issue financial statements on an annual basis. The NPO registration facility, therefore, brings many NPOs into a public system that allows for information about the sector to be gathered and to make publicly available, which in many ways increases the confidence of the public in the nonprofit sector. Government is therefore committed to ensuring that we have a thriving NGO sector, because it plays a critical role in our society and in entrenching democratic practice in our country as well. However, the financial sustainability and the viability of an NGO remains the responsibility of the NGO, because many of these NGOs have their own governance processes and structures, and they have programs that they have to pursue on an ongoing basis. So they, in the end, are independent entities that must look after their own structures and organizational matters. The state funding to an NGO is often provided on the basis of a service or a product to be delivered, and according to a clear set of criteria and competitive processes. I must say that a number of NGOs, yes, do derive funding from the state, and they get funding on the basis that's clearly laid out in executing certain campaigns, programs, and providing certain services. So the state or the government is intricately linked with a number of the interests of and operations of a number of NGOs, and our democracy thrives because we do have well-functioning NGOs that also assist the state in executing its programs. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Lekota.
Thank you, Speaker. May I, through you, Speaker, ask the Deputy President if the information as to the annual amount of money made available from public funds can be made available to opposition and to the legislature, so that we can continue to monitor whether even those public funds that are allotted to the NGOs are actually employed as indicated. Secondly, can we be given an indication of those formations that were part of the struggle against apartheid? How many of them survive, like the South African Council of Churches? And do they continue to receive support from the state as they did not get any support previously, and as they are tried and tested, reliable strugglers for a democratic South Africa?
The Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, in relation to the various NGOs that, say, get support, the question, could we get details? The details are in various government departments. Various government departments, in executing their mandate, do work with a number of NGOs, a number of entities, and as I said earlier, in executing the campaigns and programs, they actually do so through some NGOs, and they do fund them as far as those programs are concerned. It might be difficult to have a consolidated list, but that's something that we can look at. In relation to those NGOs that participated in the struggle against apartheid, NGOs such as the SACC and a number of others, with regards to whether they are being funded by the state, if they are not executing programs like I've outlined through various departments, it might be difficult to actually get to know whether they are being funded, but to Honorable Lekota, that is information that we can find out, and if it exists in a way that it can be properly packaged, we'll be very happy to make it available to Honorable Lekota. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Maimane.
Motlatsa Mopresidente ke a leboga. Ne ke batla ke re fela ke ka tlhompo ga re botsa dipotso tsa rona. Ebile re re o lwena re ka dumelana gore you can't pick and choose gore constitution o e tshwara yang. Ka jalo ne kopa, you can't say this circumstance is right for you to fulfill constitution. Ne ke re o mphitisitse molaetsa go Mopresidente o re fela some belief. Mr. President, khumbule khaya. But in line with your responsibilities as leader of government business, will you please undertake to this House that the National Lottery Board's revised provisions for funding of NGOs will prevent situations like that of COSATU receiving 1 million rands for anniversary celebrations from the National Lottery Board? And what will you do to make sure, in fact, for organizations such as the Treatment Action Campaign will continue to receive funding that is adequate, rather than, in fact, this money going to COSATU for birthday bashes? I thank you, Mr. Deputy President.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, ke a go leboga Rre Maimane. Go go utlwile sentle. Ntwe ya Lotteries Board, le gore how are they changing their rules? That's something that can be looked at. Organizations like the Treatment Action Campaign do get funding. They do get funding to execute their campaigns. And obviously, every organization under the sun in our country always requires more funding. And it's a question of the availability of resources. And clearly, every organization should be supported. Organizations, as I said earlier, that act in the interests of our people deserve a lot of support. They need to be assisted financially, organizationally, and otherwise. So on that score, one would say, yes, we agree with you, and because they play an important role. So we have no problem whatsoever in assisting various organizations to continue executing their tasks. And the TAC, which we work with in SANEC, is one of those organizations that we think highly of, organization that we hold in high regard, and we are rather pleased as a government and through SANEC that we cooperate well and we work very well with the TAC. So it is one of those valued NGOs in our country. And so are organizations like COSATU. COSATU plays an important role in the body politic of South Africa. Whether people like it or not, COSATU occupies a prime position in the governance of our country generally, and they need to also enjoy a level of support. And fortunately, they have a solid membership, a membership that supports their programs and actions, and they should continue to grow stronger and stronger, and that's precisely what we want to see with COSATU. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Machobeni.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. In light of Honorable Likota's question, the EFF would like to extend it further to pronounce that a recent study indicates that the NGOs which enjoys government support are those in which senior members of the ruling party sit in their executive boards. Is it this clear that the ruling party has come to master the art of talking democracy but walking autocracy?
Deputy President.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I have no evidence that indicates that members of the ruling party sit on various NGOs that get funding from government, so I'm not aware of that. All I know is that those NGOs that get support from the state are the NGOs that continue to work in the interests of our people. NGOs that through their programs, through the products that they are able to put out there, they interface with government at a number of levels. And this happens not through one department, but a variety of departments in government. And you will find that the government works through various agencies. And many of those agencies are NGOs. And I find it difficult to understand that it could be said that members of the ruling party sit on all the NGOs that government works with. I don't think that is possible. I don't think that is what is happening. So it could well be something that the honorable member may well want to put forward to us as evidence so that we can see. But what I do know is that the government of the Republic of South Africa supports NGOs, and it will continue doing so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Arising from your response, Honorable Deputy President, many NGOs in South Africa have also been able to obtain funding by having themselves registered as public benefit organizations with the receiver of revenue. This then allows donations made to such organizations to be tax deductible in terms of Section 18A of the Income Tax Act. Now, in view of the reduction in funding that many NGOs have been experiencing, it is then a pity that Section 18A is to be amended. Commentators have indicated that the increased compliance burden associated with the proposed amendment is unfortunate and is likely to detract from funds available for public benefit purposes, such as NGOs. Would you agree then, Honourable Deputy President, that given these challenges regarding funding, should this amendment result in less funds becoming available, it may need reconsideration? I thank you.
Deputy President.
To the extent that such a provision could lead to, yes, funding becoming lesser and lesser for NGOs, it is up to this House that deals with amendments to legislation to give consideration to the matter, and indeed through various other mechanisms such as public participation and engaging with those NGOs, we should be able to get to the root of the matter and find out the extent to which they are going to be hamstrung in executing their tasks. And I'd like to say that this should be done on an interactive basis where we have discussions with those NGOs and arrive at common solutions. And in this regard, we should engage with Treasury and find out the extent to which what the honorable member is saying is actually going to happen. Right now, where I stand, I do not have any knowledge, the deep knowledge that he has about those amendments, and we should have a discussion on an interactive basis and find out the extent to which they are going to find their organizational objectives being hamstrung and prevented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. That concludes questions to the Deputy President. I thank the Honorable Deputy President. Honorable members, the next item on the order paper is questions addressed to ministers in the Peace and Security Cluster. Honorable members will recall that certain questions stood over during the questions to ministers in the Economic Cluster, and as requested in terms of Rule 109.3, the questions will be taken out of the cluster today. For this reason, there will be an additional 30 minutes added to the time allotted to questions for oral reply today. Question number 307 has been asked by Honorable J.J. Skosana to the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. The challenges that the department encounters is the delivery of benefits like housing, job facilitation and placement, education support, and healthcare to military veterans is with regards to the implementation process. In most cases, the actual delivery agencies, which are mainly state departments, and to a limited degree private sector entities, have their own policies, long-term plans and procedures that have to be adapted to accommodate the Department of Military Veterans' requirements and means. The service level agreements are entirely dependent on the planning process of the implementing department and have no effective enforcement enablers beyond the practices of cooperative governance. This results in protracted negotiations that take long and affect the ability of the department to meet its targets. Discussions are currently taking place with the National Treasury and other relevant authorities to improve the delivery agreements and to ensure better monitoring of the implementing departments. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Is there any supplementary question? Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy President, thank you, Minister, for an adequate response to my question. Deputy Speaker, will the Minister review the system of the Department of Military Veterans dependency on other departments to administer services to military veterans? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member, I must say it's not an easy matter. Certainly from the point of view of the failures so far, something seems wrong. So from that point of view, you may want to review, for instance, a system, but such a review may be about making improvements and not about discarding the current approach altogether. There may be such categories of benefits, for instance, which you may want to deal with internally, such as burials, funerals, memorialization, and training. But certainly many socio-economic benefits need to be directed as constituting part of our national efforts in areas such as housing and healthcare. These you may not want to deal with internally. And I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
I see this Honorable Weniso.
Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili. Minister, ndicela uqonda. Emehlweni wakho ngendlela obajonga ngayo bonke abantu abangamaqhawe wokulwela inkululeko njengebe-APLA kunye nabe-Azandla ingaba babaluleke kangakanani? Ukuba bonke babalulekile kutheni sisenabayi-30 about 35 abafana noKenny Mutsamai abasengapha kwezitixo zezisele and abahleli kwintlupheko engapha kwamandla abo bathi baba nentlahla yoba baphume ngaphakathi entolongweni. Kwabo ke sibalula even abo babezi MK veterans. And ukubana babalekile bona bazawukhululwa nini? Nkosi.
Honorable Minister.
Enkosi kakhulu. Ndiyafuna ukutsho ukubana amaqhawe onke, whether ngamaqhawe e-APLA okanye i-MKMVA okanye i-Azanla, babaluleke kakhulu kuthi. Uyawuqaphela into okokubana ngexesha ebesifoma umbutho ekuthiwa yi-South African Military Veterans Association, onke la maqhawe avela kwi-non-statutory forces aye angena abakwi-executive yalo mbutho kwakunye nabo babe kwi-statutory forces. Loo nto sasiyenzela ntoni? Senzela okokubana sikwazi into yobana sibe ne-forum apho sinxulumelana nabo bebonke kungakhange kube khona mkhethe wokubana ubani uphuma kuphi na umbutho. Okusalayo, noba abantu baphume besilwa kwi-trench nge-trench, kodwa sisonke besigalelela bhayini linye, sonke besilwela into enye. That is the approach yethu as a Department of Military Veterans on this matter. And therefore, even i-benefits ziya kubo bonke, asikhathalelanga ukwazi into kokubana ubani ebekophi na umbutho. Kule ndaba ye-poverty, hayi kona unyanisile, inkwaleko inkulu kakhulu kwi-military veterans zethu, zizonke. I-reason yaloko yile nto uyaziyo yokokubana abantu bethu ngelishwa thina singurhulumente sithathe ixesha ukokubana sibe nale department ezawujongana kunye nokunika i-benefits kwi-veterans ezazisilwa zamandulo. So le decision ithathwe kwiPulukwane Conference ngo-2007, ya-implementwa ngo-2009. So ndizama nje ukuchaza into yobana ezinye zezinto ezenze uba imeko ye-veterans zethu ibembi kakhulu. It is because siye sadelaya ukuthatha isinqumo sokubana sibe ne-department ezawujongana nabo kuphela. Okugqibela ke, Honorable Member, kulomba ke ngokuwejele. Kaloku andingominister wejele, ndinguminister we-defense. Okwesibini ke futhi izinto ezimayilunga ne-parole, nankuya u-deputy minister, ndiyakhola no-minister ukhona, ngabo ke abajongene nezinto ze-parole. Then kumba wona we-pardons, ngumba othi ujongane ngqo kunye no-president. So malunga ne-pardons, malunga kunye ne-parole, zizinto ke mhlambe ezingathi zibhekiswe phaa kulaa mnyango we-correctional services. Ndiyabulela.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Iso of the DA.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. There are 5 instruments required to work in concert for the delivery of military veterans' benefits, and also to avoid the need for a ministerial directive to be issued to override any one because of a lack of it. And these are, of course, the database, a verified database, which is incomplete at this stage, funding that is also insufficient, MOUs and SLAs that are still incomplete, regulations that have been completed in February of this year, and of course policy and frameworks that are also incomplete. Now the issue I want to raise, Honourable Speaker, is with regard to the MOUs and SLAs in this regard here, I want to put the question to the Honourable Minister. Will those deserving military veterans that qualified for a benefit at a certain time be compensated retrospectively because of a delay or lapse of time due to incomplete MOUs or SLAs? I thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. You are right. I mean, you are correct. There are 5 instruments. However, it should be borne in mind that one of the biggest challenges we've had is that, as you would know, the database of the military veterans has just been completed. Not only has it just been completed, that database needs to be audited, it needs to be verified over and over again. Precisely because from the non-statutory forces, it is not necessarily all organizations which submitted the list of their military veterans. So even as people are coming forward to claim benefits, you still have to verify to make from their organizations to make sure that you are not granting military veterans benefits to people who are not necessarily military veterans. I think I also need to say this, when you're asking whether they will be rolled out retrospectively, I guess we would have to do that because it is not their problem that, for instance, we still don't have a database which you can safely say is credible. There is a database. We're trying our best. There are organizations which are cooperating with us. However, whether that database is absolutely credible is another matter. As I say, it has taken us quite some time to establish this department. In fact, at times, it is even difficult to find people who can actually attest to the fact that a particular person is a military veteran. So I would assume that once all of those things have been verified, all of that information verified, and there's evidence that this person is a military veteran, whatever is due to the person should be given to that person retrospectively. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Ogcina umhlonishwa uMngcwabo.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Minister. In an attempt to address the ever-increasing number of health beneficiaries, is the department looking at ensuring that military veterans can also visit any hospital, including private ones, in order to take advantage of their health benefits instead of just going to a military and also a government hospitals? If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details, Madam Minister?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, as you know, we encourage military veterans to go to hospitals which are run by the military in the first instance. That's the first one. But of course, where there aren't such hospitals, then we encourage them to visit public hospitals for obvious reasons. A private hospital really should be the last alternative. For now, it is preferable that if there is no military hospital where the military veterans are resident, that they should rather go to public hospitals. But, honorable members, I'm sure you are also aware of the fact that as we were distributing these medical cards, we had a team of doctors and nurses who were contracted by the Department of Military Veterans to go around and examine all of the military veterans we are attending to. So yes, there are private services which we render at times, but our first Lantuzana is for people to go to military hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now move to question 311, which has been asked by the Honorable Don Gumede to the Minister of Home Affairs.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The department's strategic plan is aligned to the objective, amongst others, of the National Development Plan of having a capable state that is efficient, effective, and professional. The Department of Home Affairs is responsible for identity systems that are relied on by all citizens, foreign visitors and residents, government departments, and the private sector. In order to deliver secure, effective, and efficient service, the Department of Home Affairs has launched a modernization program to professionalize its staff and build integrated digital systems. The same systems prevent fraud and provide statistics for planning. These systems will lower the cost of services and doing business and improve access. The modernization program of the department can reduce fraud and the cost of doing business by enabling e-government, thus attracting more investment. The civic mandate of the Department of Home Affairs is to confer citizenship and hence status and rights, and to register births, marriages, and death. The inclusion of all citizens in democracy and development is enabled by providing them with a status and an identity that gives them access to rights and services. With regards to immigration, the National Development Plan has called on the department to streamline the issuing of visas and permits so that South Africa can recruit foreign nationals with the critical skills needed to grow our economy. This is in line with the department's mandate to authorize the entry or exit of persons into South Africa and issue permits and visas. In this regard, the department has introduced visa facilitation centers to facilitate and streamline the process for applying for these enabling documents. The department also has a role to play in enabling regional development by working with SADC countries to establish efficient, secure, and managed movement of people. The department is leading the establishment of a border management agency that will ensure South Africa can control the border environment. A learning academy has been established that is delivering professional courses of high quality to officials. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Gumete.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. And thank you very much to the Honorable Minister for a comprehensive response. I have had 3 unannounced visits to 5 offices of your department, and I've been deeply impressed by the caring attitude of the staff, including that of a busy Barrack Street office on a Tuesday. On inquiring about their professionalism, they told me that there was a skills enhancement program. My question, Honorable Minister, is could you kindly expand on this wonderful program?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Much as we acknowledge that there are many improvements in the department, there are many offices of the department that are performing well, and many officials of the department that are professional, conscientious, and are performing in terms of the Batupile principles serving the people of South Africa. We also do acknowledge that we still face a lot of challenges, many of them relating to leadership, relating to people, not only the numbers of people we have, but also their performance and capability, relating to systems and their integration. And that is why we have launched a number of programs to enhance the systems of our offices and to integrate them and to ensure that we professionalize our staff. And part of that, critical to it, is the launching of smart ID card dedicated offices, 70 of which were opened during the last financial year, and 70 more of which will be opened during this financial year in order to offer quality services to our people. We're quite conscious of the challenges that our people are still facing with regard to a range of documents which they need, and we are working around the clock to ensure that we can deliver these quality services and provide capabilities for e-government. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next, Honorable Sheikh Imam of the NFP.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. First of all, I would be failing in my duty if I do not commend the Department of Home Affairs, especially the Commercial Road branch in eThekwini, Durban, for the efficient and professional way they assisted when I took 2 orphans for their smart card. Mr. Goboza of the Commercial Road branch and Mr. Plaikes of the Barrack Street branch in Cape Town for the efficient and professional way in which, and urgent way in which he assisted. To the Honorable Minister, my question is, in light of the ever-increasing demand for these smart cards, what is being done to ensure that the different branches are capacitated to be able to roll out the smart cards? My view is at this stage there are limited branches, so could you please advise, Honorable Minister? Thank you.
It's your turn, sir.
Thank you, sir. I don't want to speak before I'm invited.
Absolutely, you'd be thrown out.
But Deputy Speaker, thank you very much to the Honourable Member for the question. As we have indicated, there are 70 more smart ID card dedicated offices that are going to be opened during this financial year. The reason we can't immediately convert all our offices to be able to provide smart card technology is because we need to align the technology, we need to redesign the offices, because the smart ID card process is completely paperless. And for us to be able to convert all of these offices, we would need more resources than we command at the present moment. And so we have converted a number of offices. We will also additionally in Durban be converting Umgeni office into a smart ID card dedicated office. We have opened some offices in the shopping malls and are identifying a little bit more, starting with the Maponya Mall in Soweto. And we are in discussions with the banks to ensure that we can offer a dedicated, specialized service within some of the banks in South Africa, within the branches of some of the banks in South Africa, so that South Africans can have convenient access to apply for their documents, for the ID cards, and get critical services which they require from Home Affairs. So we are undertaking a process to expand the smart ID card offices even as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Next is from Honorable Nkomo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. To our Minister of Home Affairs, in order to achieve the goals as stated in the NDP, what steps have the department, through its modernization program, taken to eradicate current fraud and corruption with regard to the granting of refugee status to people who are not refugees but are merely seeking illegal entry into South Africa by exploiting such loopholes? How many officials have also been found to be implicated in fraud and corruption, and how have these cases been addressed? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you to the Honorable Member for the question. The department has is in the process of reviewing some of our asylum seeker management processes in order for us to be able to combat exactly the challenge that the Honorable Member is talking about. The difficulty that we are facing is that South Africa is a country of mixed migration flows. We attract a whole range of immigrants, many of whom are economic migrants, that because of the lack of avenues to regularize their stay in South Africa, they then seek to exploit the asylum seeker processes for them to become regulars, to regularize their presence in our country. And the one way to address that has been through, for example, the Zimbabwe special permit process that we have implemented, which ensured that we removed scores of people who had initially been applying, who had initially applied for asylum in the country by giving them permits in terms of this process. But in the long term and on a sustainable basis, we certainly need to have a policy on economic migrants so that we can be able to manage the entry of economic migrants in our country and their regularization. It is not going to be an easy process, but it is something that we are undertaking. On the other hand, our asylum seeker management processes have been greatly enhanced. One of the things that we are now working on is the introduction of the new national identification system, which will integrate the national immigration identification system with the national population register so that we can have an integrated database for South Africans and immigrants, which would enable us to be able to verify the status, the records of the people who are applying for our documents, including those who might have breached South African law in case we need to establish their identity. And therefore, we are in the processes of improving our asylum seeker management, our immigration systems, and all the systems of the department through this modernization program. I am establishing an integrated modernization task team, which is going to involve a whole range of units and branches in the department, working together with other departments, so that we can have an integrated system that we can manage in almost the same fashion as the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission. But insofar as fighting corruption is concerned, more than 40 officials in the department have been charged for corruption. Some of them have been dismissed, others have been charged, charges have been laid against them in terms of our courts and legal processes, and we are dealing with the processes. Everybody will agree and admit that corruption and fraud in the Department of Home Affairs has been vastly reduced as a result of the introduction of these technologies that we are currently implementing. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Hussein.
Through you, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Minister, you will agree with me when I say that the NDP identifies the tourism industry as one of those sectors that can make a huge contribution to economic development and job creation. Not too long ago, the Honorable Maimani and myself approached you in your office and we pointed out to you a number of problems that we have with the new immigration regulations and how it's impacting negatively on the tourism industry. Now, since then, we appreciate the concession you've made around the unabridged birth certificates and the postponement of that until June next year. But there's still a number of unintended consequences of those immigration regulations that's having a devastating impact on the tourism industry. My colleague, Honorable Foss, had put out a statement yesterday pointing out genuine evidence of how the number of tourists have now reduced drastically because of that. Are there any further concessions that we can expect from you that's going to help mitigate against the damage in the department? And are there any steps that you're going to take to try and reverse the situation, especially as we're approaching the festive period?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. It is true that we have had engagements with the Democratic Alliance, including the Western Cape Standing Committee on Agriculture and Economic Development as recently as yesterday, to discuss these immigration regulations. But we've also not met only them. We've met the religious fraternity, we've met the tourism sector, we've met the aviation and travel agencies to discuss all of these challenges and how we're going to deal with them. It is also true that we've made certain concessions as a result of the concerns they have raised. But it is also true that we've made it clear that we are going to go ahead implementing these regulations. Because we are not taking a one-sided view insofar as the regulations are concerned. We're not only concerned about the impact on tourism, we are also concerned about security laxity that had been prevalent up until now. The abuse of our legislation, the potential damage that would be caused by the laxity, which resulted in us being soft and easy on human and child trafficking in particular. And so where we are concerned, we're not only looking at this from a one-sided perspective, we are taking a balanced view because we understand the important role of our department in facilitating not only economic development but also national security. The Department of Home Affairs stands at a critical point between national security and economic development. We are a security department that offers critical services, and we need to concern ourselves about unintended consequences of the lack of the regulations that we have had. We've had the Black Widow traveling through South Africa to commit a crime of mass murder in Kenya. We've had somebody coming into our country to commit a heinous crime in our country in Sandton, strangling someone else dead. And so we need to bear in mind that this is not a world of tourists alone. It's a world which they share with criminals, some of whom travel as tourists, some of whom travel as regular immigrants, carrying proper documents to commit crimes in countries. We need not sleep on the duty. We must take into consideration the fact that if we were lax on security, even the tourism we are talking about, even investments we seek so much, even the skilled migrants we require so much, are going to dissipate. And so we need to balance how we deal with issues of immigration so that we can provide security even to the tourists, the immigrants, the critical skilled people who are in our country, and assure South Africans that we are taking all the steps as are necessary to provide security to them in South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, question number 322 has been asked by the Leader of the Opposition to the Minister of Police. I've been informed that the Minister of Police has requested that the question stand over in terms of Rule 1151. Question number 250 has been asked by the Honorable Shivambo to the Minister of Trade and Industry. Honorable Davis.
Sorry, Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
So what rule was that in terms of?
1151.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Steps have indeed been taken to address irregular expenditure arising from supply chain management processes. These steps have included the holding of regular information and training sessions on the requirements for procurement with staff members, the preparation and dissemination of an easy-to-follow procurement guide with additional communication being provided via circulars, financial circulars, the launching of an internal campaign entitled Eradicating Irregular Expenditure, the monitoring on a monthly basis of all potential irregular expenditure, with transgressions being reported to relevant heads of department to take appropriate action in good time. Based on the additional controls implemented, irregular expenditure in the department has reduced significantly. In fact, on the Auditor General's reports, irregular expenditure for the DTI reduced from 32.9 million rand in 2012-13 financial year to 6.4 million rand in the 2013 financial year, which represents about 20% of the amount in the previous year. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Msimanga of the IFP.
It's supposed to be me.
Oh, sorry. But it's okay, go ahead.
No, the process, Deputy Speaker, is that when a person has asked a question, when the minister has finished responding,
the original person who asked must give in the first page.
Must get an opportunity
yes,
for a follow-up.
and it must appear
I
on my
thought
machine
that,
here.
because you've got the red tie today, you will have a better understanding of this process. Now,
you don't have it, this is why you don't understand me.
Look, we asking this question in the context that in your own manifesto, Minister, in the first state of national address for this parliament, there was a commitment that the South African government is going to procure all goods and services, 75% of those locally produced goods and services. And there seem to be weaknesses broadly in the whole procurement and supply chain space to enforce such. Because when we debated in trade and industry, our emphasis was to say that if you are really serious about pursuit of radical industrial expansion program, you need to strengthen the instruments of the state to purchase locally produced goods and services. As things stand, it looks like the state is consuming virtually everything from externally produced goods, like almost everything, the cars, the food, and everything else that the state consumes. So that was the context within which we raised it, that how far are you in terms of strengthening the capacity to locally procure and locally produced goods and services? That is the context within which we raised it. It's not a mechanical question in the manner in which the minister has responded to it. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Well, then I think the honourable member should write what he means rather than try to get me to guess what he means. If he wants to talk about localization, that's another question. But I could say that indeed we are committed as a department to pursuing localization. We have designated a number of items which need to be procured only from South African sources. We are in the process of preparing another batch. We are also the custodians of other policies like the National Industrial Participation Program and various others. But I suggest that if the honourable member wants to have a proper and comprehensive answer to what's being done and what are the challenges, I suggest he puts down a question in which it's clear that it's about localisation and not about irregular expenditure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Msimanga.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. In light of the Auditor General's concerns, I would like to know from the Minister whether he is taking steps to reduce the number of consultants used in his department's supply chain management and procure processes, and the necessary processes in place to ensure that officials working in supply chain management receive the proper skills training and are held to full account on all supply chain management and procurement. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I think the figures that I quoted are actually showing that there is progress. The officials from the Auditor General's office that worked with us told us that we were that close to getting a completely clean audit. The irregular expenditure of the amount that I mentioned earlier of about 6.4 million rand is all, in our case, transactions below 500,000 rand, and are mostly, because irregular expenditure is not the same as unauthorized expenditure, they are mostly cases where 3 quotations were not obtained. Sometimes they were by officials of our department located in foreign offices where it was difficult to get multiple quotations for travel and so on and so forth. But actually, our target is not to have a minimal level like we've got, but is to have no irregular expenditure. And I think that we are pretty close to that, and our target is within sight. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Hill-Lewis.
Thank you. Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Minister, it's good of you to turn up today. I thought you'd pulled the President Zuma on us last week. But since we're on the topic of supply chains, I want to focus on the very important supply chain issue of late payments by government departments, something which I know you care about. It's well known that most government departments take months, sometimes even longer, to pay their suppliers, and that it often destroys businesses who cannot wait so long for payment. In a recent example, Minister, a Free State entrepreneur employing 17 people had to close his business. This was just a few weeks ago, after waiting for more than a year for the provincial government to pay for the goods his business had already delivered. Currently, there are over 13,000 invoices that have been outstanding for more than 30 days. The bottom line, Minister, is that this is putting a lot more people out of work, and that there's absolutely no excuse for government not paying its bills on time. Now, as the department responsible for business and for industry, what is your department doing to get other cabinet ministers to take this issue seriously?
Honourable Minister.
Well, first of all, I need to just point out that contrary to what the Honourable Hill-Lewis said in a press statement, I was not AWOL. I was absent with leave on government business last week, which is why I wasn't here. But let me just say that indeed we are, as a department and as a government, concerned to ensure that there is prompt payment of valid invoices. So let me just say, what do we do in the DTI by way of example? The number of valid invoices which are unpaid in our department is 0, nil, zilch, nothing. What we've done also is now fallen to our colleagues in the small business ministry. The Small Enterprise Development Agency has been running a hotline where people can phone in, and it has secured a number of payments in cases where there were disputes. It has played a role of trying to intervene in that regard. But also, I think that it is increasingly going to become a matter for concern by auditors. the Auditor General's reports. It is a transgression of applicable rules and regulations, and so our commitment as government is to work to try to eliminate the late payment of valid invoices. Sometimes you may hear complaints of various sorts, and maybe the work wasn't done, or there was a dispute about whether the work was done. But in the case of a valid invoice, it ought to be paid in 30 days. And by the way, I think that if the private sector were to follow suit, it would make a huge difference, because there are many, many cases where small businesses are held hostage by big companies because they can have the muscle to look after their own cash flows at the expense of small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Bongani Mkongi.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I would like to first say, when compliment is due, I think congratulations are also due. We need to congratulate the Department of Trade and Industry on the good work that they have done. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the detailed response to the question from Honorable Shivambu. But I want to base my question on the question that appeared in the question paper, which says, may you please provide the details of whether the training in the supply chain management unit is still continuing? If not, why not? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Well, the programs I mentioned in my original answer are, of course, all continuing, and we are actually making every effort to ensure that we do not have any irregular expenditure in the forthcoming audit year. I think it is important to say, and just to reiterate, that what we're talking about here is not unauthorized expenditure. These are not people that are stealing money. This is cases of people that have transgressed some of the rules and regulations, sometimes with fairly understandable explanations. But despite that, our goal is to ensure that we have zero irregular expenditure. And as I said, I don't think we are very far from that as a DTI. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Members, we go to question number 312.
Deputy Chair, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, sir.
May I address you in terms of Rule 115?
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to just establish from you, Deputy Speaker, whether what we're dealing with is a 115A, where a letter has been received by the Secretary of Parliament. If so, can we have confirmation that that letter was received? Or are we dealing with a B, where the Minister's not here? And if he's not here, has he been sent out to look for the President?
Okay. Honorable Member, a direct answer to you is that yes, a letter was received, and this has been shown to me. Yeah. Thank you very much. The next question is asked by Honorable B.T. Bongo to the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The figures as at 30 September 2014 are as follows. In respect of both departments, Justice and Correctional Services, those that have already been vetted with regard to Justice is 15, and with regard to Corrections is 137. Those in the process, it's 8 with regard to Justice and 399 with regard to Corrections. Those that are in the process at the departments themselves respectively, it's 34 Justice and 274 at Corrections. Compliance rate is 78% at Justice and 68% at Corrections. Outstanding, therefore, 16 at Justice, which makes 22%, and 390 at Corrections, which makes 32%. And the totals are 73 with regard to Justice and 1,200 with regard to Corrections. we may just indicate that it is not the ideal. Ideal should be 100%, and have requested the department to both departments to clarify the circumstances of the outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Bongo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Minister, you'll recall that this matter was in part of the President's State of the Nation's address. So when do we envisage the 100% compliance? And what measures have you put in place to ensure that the department discipline those who do not want to comply? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The circumstances are not always simple. The senior management segment of the administration is highly mobile. People move from one position to the other fairly rapidly. And given the time it takes to complete a vetting process, it sometimes makes it difficult to ensure that everybody has been compliant as a result. However, as I indicated earlier, we have requested the departments both to actually establish where there is deliberate or negligent non-compliance so that we can take appropriate corrective measures. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Horn.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, the announcement of the vetting of supply chain management personnel in the department was in fact made during the State of the Nation address of 2012 and not 2014 as stated by the Honourable Bongo. Prior to that, it was also included as an initiative in the strategic plan of the department. The question therefore is, how many of the supply chain management personnel of the department was vetted in the years 2012-13, especially in light of the total amount of a staggering 812 million rands worth of irregular expenditure in the department in the 2012-13 years.
Honourable Minister.
We would be happy to provide a breakdown that would specifically illustrate which of the non-compliant specifically deal with supply chain. At this point in time, I only have ballpark figures and not a breakdown that focuses on the specific line function areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Honourable. Honourable Singh.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for the reply. What I'd like to know, Honourable Deputy Speaker, through you is, what kind of vetting are we talking about? Is it vetting on the competence of the supply chain management staff, or is it vetting on the issue of conflict of interest? Because we may have supply chain management people in place, but their competence needs always to be tested, because otherwise it can have disastrous consequences, Minister. I mean, I have a case in point here, where in KwaZulu-Natal, there's been a tender that's been investigated since 2009, and no one has been charged as yet, and it involves a very serious matter where a state-of-the-art radiotherapy machine at a Durban hospital has forced KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Health Department to send cancer patients to a private hospital. And that is because the supply chain management team did not look at this contract properly, and the MEC there has refused to pay the monthly installments on this machine. So I just would like to ask again of the Minister whether he, as the Minister of Justice, will try and assist KZN Health Department to investigate this matter from the point of charges, and what kind of vetting takes place. What is the process for vetting? Thanks.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would certainly provide it with specific information, preferably in writing from the Honourable Member, investigate the facts in that particular instance in order to determine an appropriate intervention. Vetting and assessing officials' competences to continue in their current responsibilities, I think, are slightly two different sides of a coin. And I think with regard to the latter, a process appropriate would involve a multiplicity of interventions, ongoing assessment of competences based on obvious performance or non-performance as we observe the product of the work of officials that would in turn also lead us to the kind of competences that would need to be enhanced to ensure that through ongoing training, for example, and similar programs, we continue to capacitate the public service to provide an effective and efficient service. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Koza.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Minister, what is the rationale behind the idea of vetting? Because in all fairness, just a mere vetting of officials will not assist in dealing with maladministration and corruption that we see in government departments and entities. When we see dubious and questionable political deployments being done every day, an example being that of the SABC, what effective strategy does your department have in dealing with maladministration and corruption other than just vetting? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
One of the advantages of vetting is that it can provide information about a person's background that is pertinent to establishing whether they are a fit and proper person to perform a particular role, especially where trust is at issue. People who in the past have been caught with their hands in the cookie jar, for example, could easily be established through vetting so that we isolate those or at least put in place monitoring measures to ensure that we treat those with some circumspection to avoid a repeat of such conduct. Where appropriate, of course, exclude them altogether from the public service so that we keep the public service as clean as possible. And of course, get rid of some unwanted and dubious characters in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, we move to question number 337, asked by the Honorable Mwango to the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for the question. The African Standby Force is an initiative of the African Union to assist the continent in managing incidences of insecurity and ensure stability in the continent. The decision was, however, not implemented since 2003. As a result, in June 2013, following the proposal by our Commander-in-Chief, the Honorable President Zuma, the heads of state of the African Union resolved to establish the African Capacity for Immediate Response to Crisis, ASIRIC. This new initiative is a short-term solution until the African Standby Force has been fully established. South Africa, of course, is one of the 10 contributing countries to the ASIRIC initiative. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I will now call on Honorable Mwango for a supplementary question.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairperson. Arising from the Minister's response, is the Minister going to give us a breakdown of contributions in terms of manpower per country? I know that the Minister has said that South Africa is also a contributing country to ASIRIC. Which other countries are contributing? And what are the numbers that each country is actually contributing? I thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mtwango. Well, the countries consisting of ASIRIC, amongst others, is Algeria, Angola, Uganda, Tanzania, Sudan, Senegal. Those are but some of the member states which are contributing to ASIRIC. The ASIRIC heads of chiefs of services have met thrice in South Africa to discuss and plan the way forward for ASIRIC. But it should be borne in mind in the first instance that, as I said earlier on, that ASIRIC is a stopgap measure until such time the regions are ready to activate their standby forces. Different countries have pledged different items. For instance, in our case, we hope that we would be able to assist in the provision of logistics. For instance, transportation of logistics. We would be able, for instance, maybe to assist in allowing for exercises by ASIRIC to be conducted in our country. We would be able to assist with perhaps a motorized battalion, but it should be borne in mind that we in South Africa have had serious problems of finances, of budget cuts, which have affected the South African National Defence Force in a very, very negative way. So whatever it is which we pledge, we should do so in a responsible manner such that it does not impact negatively on the activities of the South African National Defence Force in the country. We also, I know we have also pledged a level 3 hospital, which means that whoever some of the injuries which may occur, people will be brought to South Africa to receive attention. But in spite of all of these plans which are in place right now, Honorable Mwango, it is our hope that by the end of 2015, the African Standby Force will be in place. Because as I said, if we are a stopgap measure, this ASIRIC, therefore the Standby Force should get its act together and should be ready to embark on whatever deployments or operations when it is necessary to do so. And this should be at least the latest end of the year 2015. So we're hoping that we won't find ourselves in a situation where the African Union will take decisions on matters of deployments, because once they do so, then we'll have no choice but to deploy the ASIRIC troop contributing countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. On my list, the second one for a supplementary question, Honorable Mania.
Thank you, Chairperson. Now, Minister, I'm sure that the African Standby Force and the ASIRIC would love a spy satellite capability, especially if it's a Condor E spy satellite capability developed by our new best friends, the Russians. So I wonder whether the Minister would confirm whether her department has a not-so-secret contract to develop a spy satellite capability, and whether the spy satellite may be used in the future to benefit the African Standby Force or ASIRIC.
The Honorable the Minister.
Just stand still. Learn to stand still. Because when you dance, you divert the attention from what you are saying, but to what you are doing. Just stop it. Anyway, the matter is, Honorable Member.
Sorry.
I wonder what point of order
order.
you are going to raise, because he is dancing.
Honorable, the point of order?
The point of order is that it's unparliamentary to reflect on an honourable member in that way, and I would ask that the honourable minister is asked to withdraw that, and I would be very wary about them going near dancing, because right now the dance card for the president in this house is very empty.
I think you don't need to explain. Some things are just practices, and we don't have to even rule on that. Honorable Minister, please continue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Truth of the matter, my brother, is I think honestly, you know yourself, there's no point of order in this matter.
Honorable Minister,
Truth of the
please
matter,
answer.
I've not questioned the integrity or anything of the member. I'm just saying what he is doing.
Honorable Minister, can you please respond?
Thank you very much, Honorable
you.
So
Member.
point of order,
Chairperson.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Rule 58 is very clear that members of this House must address the chairperson and not members across. And I'd ask that you
That
ask
is
the-
why I intervened, and I think you heard me. Please sit. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chairperson. Yes, thank you very much. You are a good teacher, actually. Very good teacher. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Mainir, I honestly don't know whether you really, with all seriousness, expect me to respond to this question. If so, then I will request the chairperson, in terms of Rule 115, to put that question on hold, to allow you the opportunity to go to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence or to the Joint Standing Committee on Defense and invite me to come and present this particular project you are interested in to that forum. As for here, I'm not going to give you that answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let us make sure that the follow-up questions that we ask are in line with the original question. You are making it difficult for the honorable ministers to answer if you bring a new question in. I don't rule on behalf of the ministers that they mustn't answer new questions. It's up to them, but let's refrain from asking new questions. If you will listen, please. Let us refrain from asking new questions. And according to what the minister is requesting, the staff says that that can be done, and we advise Honorable Mainir to do so. Thank you. I now call on the next...
Sorry, House Chair.
Thank you. Honorable?
I just want for clarity, because it's been some drama around this already this week.
Okay.
Are you saying that in terms of 115, that question will go onto the order paper for the next sitting? Because that's what the minister suggested. But that's what the minister suggested.
No.
It's not our fault she's not on top of her portfolio and can't answer a question in this house. And she suggested it.
Thank you very much, Chair. It has nothing to do with not being on top of the subject matter. The point is, you know very well just how irresponsible it is to raise that kind of question in public in a National Assembly. You know, I wish that was how you conducted yourselves at a time when you were managing some of these issues. There is no way I will provide information on the satellite systems or anything that is related to it in a National Assembly and address the South African public on such matters. If that is what you were taught, Honorable Mainir, that is not the kind of training I have received. I beg.
Order, Chairperson.
Honorable
Chairperson.
Honorable Ndlozi.
I think the minister, even if she feels very right, she can't address
an honorable member directly like that? Because some of us will be addressed like that,
Honorable
it will be
Ndlozi,
provocative.
Honorable Minister addressed the member through me.
Aowa, she did not do that. But
Ke
you must
kgopela o
assist the
dule
House,
fatshe,
Chair.
abuti wa ka.
Aowa, but you did not do that. You can't speak like
Honestly
that.
speaking, can you please sit? Honorable members, we now proceed. And as I have said, I still insist. With the next person is Honorable Munisi from the ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. I'm arising from the response from our Honorable Minister there. I would like to check from the Honorable Minister if the whole question regarding the ASF meets with international agreements as well as AU agreement. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As you know, the decision to establish the very African Standby Force and even the decision to establish the ASIRIC was a decision which was taken by the heads of state at the level of the African Union. The decisions were taken in a summit of the heads of state. It is just unfortunate that after the decision to establish the African Standby Force, that the regions did not move fast enough because the decision was taken that the African Standby Force should be demarcated according to regions. So each one of the regional bodies should have established its own African Standby Force. And I should say that, in fact, for SADC, we are way ahead in establishing the African Standby Force. SADC, East Africa, and West Africa, we have done very well, but we can't say the entire continent is in fact ready with their pledges and with the running of the African Standby Force. But as I say, only 3 regions have done extremely well, and one of those is our own regions. Yes, in terms of protocols and everything, all of those things, once a decision is taken by the heads of state, obviously all protocols are set in motion to make sure that we have a legal framework within which that establishment is put in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The next member to ask the question is Honorable Mngango, but he had his piece. I'm not going to allow him to come back. I'll go to the next one, who is Honorable Morapela.
Modula stool, ne ke batla fela ho botsa letona le hlomphehileng. Ore jwalo ka o tsebisala hore dinaha tse ding tse loreng tsa Afrika mona bongata ba tsona bona ne bothata ba tsena tsa tshireletso. O ka fumana hore ha ba matla jwalo ka Afrika Borwa. Jwale ebe ke sefe se loreng re tlo se kenya tshebetsong ho bona hore le kgona ho phema bothata bo be loreng mohlompe batho ba ska iphumana be le hore jwale Afrika Borwa ke yona e se sebetsa ka matla bakeng sa ho bona hore sena se loreng se batla hore se establishwe e leng African Standby Force hore e tle be matla. Ebe ke mokgwa o fe lore le tlo sebedisa ho phema dintlha tse loreng he ke se ke buile ka tsona. Ke a leboha.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, it is true that, of course, as we go into the African Standby Force, or even to ASIRIC for that matter, contributions by different countries will not be the same. Each country will contribute what is available to that country. So I think that's one thing which we all need to understand. But of course, I must be honest that at times there is a perception that South Africa and some of the countries, in fact, within the continent, there are 5 countries which people tend to look at and really believe that these are countries which have resources. And I think we are one of those countries, even though we know we don't necessarily have the resources, which people claim we do have, but at least we are able to make whatever small contribution which we can in whatever initiative which is in place, whose decision comes from the heads of state. So even in terms of these two, you can rest assured that it probably, the fact that these have not really taken off have to do with what each one of the countries are able to contribute and what some of the countries are unable to contribute. So we don't expect that even in this whole thing, much as we would want to be equal partners, the contributions will not necessarily be the same. We also believe that the fact that the three regions are the ones whose standby forces have really sort of taken off. In fact, in SADC, we've even had what is called Exercise Golfino, which is an exercise of the region to bring together all of our forces to make sure that we can move together in the event of a deployment in unison, so that we develop also a common kind of doctrine for the region. And we've done very well. Now, even in that exercise, Dolfino, you may not expect that all of the countries within the region would have contributed equal amounts or whatever it is which people have contributed. But we are very optimistic nonetheless that with ASIRIC, even if we are not equals, that in the event of a serious crisis occurring wherever in the African continent, that ASIRIC will be ready to move in. In the same way, we hope that because we've given the African Standby Force enough time now to sort itself out, all of the regions to sort themselves out, that when it is time for Africa to deploy its Africa Standby Force, that we would be able to do so with whatever little contributions. But those who can give better, because fortunately, the contributions are not always about boots on the ground, putting warm bodies. You can pledge whatever it is which you have as a country, and not necessarily soldiers as in warm bodies to go and fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. That ends the supplementary question to the question posed by Honorable Mwango. May I plead with the ministers as they come that we are given 2 minutes for the responses, and we know that the information is very important. Can we just try and bring it to 2 minutes? We now go to question 320, asked by the Honorable M.A. Mulebazi to the Minister of Police. The Acting Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. With respect to the question that has been asked, I want to reiterate that over the last 10 years, as a country, we have seen a steady decline on the crime statistics. We want to indicate that out of the 17 crimes that we reported in the last statistics, only 6 of them have demonstrated an increase, and the rest has decreased by 0.4% from 2012-13 to 2013-14. We agree that the level of violent crimes continue to bedevil our society, and we've become a violent society as such. The common denominator are sometimes in these matters of crime, they vary with respect to the possession of firearms, alcohol abuse, and substance abuse, that in effect sometimes affect the cognitive capability of certain individuals to behave in a proper way. Some of these elements or crimes, they take place in private spaces where sometimes our officers will not be in a position to reach. And some of the problems that are related to issues of domestic violence, as we've seen that they do impact in some of these crimes that are referred to. But we think that we must be able to commend the police for the work they've done, especially in some of these crimes. If you look at the crime that was perpetrated against the former Bafana captain for swift response in arresting the suspect. Looking at the cluster as such, over the last few days, the court meted 9 life sentences to Mr. Ntokozo Hatebe, who brutally killed 3 young children in Deep Slope in Soweto. And as the police and the cluster as such, some of the actions that are being taken is to improve crime intelligence, issues of detection, issues of investigations and prosecution. We're also moving ahead in dealing with issues of border management to be able to curb the flow of arms and ammunition into our own country. We're also saying that the matter of crime is a societal problem. All South Africans must be able to join hands. Police alone will not be able to deal with this matter. Therefore, some of these criminals and murderers, they stay within our own communities. And the society must be able to make a stand and say no to this criminal and participate in those forums that we have established to be able to assist the police to keep our country and help people safe. Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry,
very
House
much.
Chair. May I address you in terms of Rule 115? House Chair, earlier in this afternoon sitting, we received notice that the Minister of Police was holding questions over, obviously because he couldn't be here. And now I find it very strange that a question from the ANC is supplied with an answer, but a question put by the opposition, which just happens to deal with Nkandla, is now being held over. Is this not selection and cherry picking of questions in the House?
Honorable Estesen, if I heard the Deputy Speaker well when he was ruling on that issue, he was saying for that question. That's if I heard him. So, no, I'm sorry, I can't answer the question why. But what we are doing now is what we have to do. Thank you very much. Honorable Molebatsi, supplementary question.
Ke go leboge motlotlegi modulasetulo, ke go leboge motlotlegi tona ka karabo e manontlhotlho. Me ke pue kgatsu ke re, what is the role of the CPS, CSS, and the neighborhood watchers to assist in the fighting of crime? Ke a leboga.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you very much. These are the structures that we have legislated as a country that gives an opportunity to our citizens to be part of an effort in addressing the issues that affect our communities. In this case, these structures, your neighborhood watch, your community safety forums, your community policing forums, and so forth, these are the structures that we want to make a clear call that these people who are doing some criminal activities, they live within our communities. We know them. They are related in one way or the other to one person in our society. And those are the structures that must work closely with the police. Because if you look at every point of our country where there is a police station, these structures are functional. They are given the required support. And in those areas where people are participating actively, we have seen a steady decline on matters of crime in those particular communities. Yingakho ngesintu ke sithi abantu baseMzantsi Afrika mababambe iqhaza ekulweni nobugebengu benze isiqinisekiso sokuthi ke nabo bangamaphoyisa emphakathini wangakubo.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable D. Kochler.
Thank you. It's Diane Kohler-Barnard. The National Police Commissioner, Ria Piecha, claimed at the release of the crime statistics this year that the national crime stats had been audited. Now, the Auditor General's office then denied this claim twice. Now, had they been audited, I doubt the wrong statistics for both Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal would have been released. Now, can the Minister I doubt it, but anyway, please explain what the National Police Commissioner's basis was for the claim and what steps have been taken to ensure that the national crime statistics, which have been bungled by this self-same woman 2 years in a row, will at last be credible. I also wanted to ask the Minister if he would not introduce real-time crime statistics at all the stations so we can find out what's happening in our neighborhoods and basically protect ourselves.
Honorable Minister, before he answers, I'm sorry, on my screen is just written Kochla, and I apologize if it is not well done. Thank you. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much. With regard to crime statistics, we must accept that it was through this government, led by the ANC, who chose, when there were people that were speaking ill about their own country, like we're the capital criminal of the world, that we decided to report. It's part of our own initiative that we are going to continue to report on this. South Africans at home, they are appreciating that this government is very transparent when it deals with these particular issues. But we're the first when we're using this instrument to admit that more still needs to be done. When it comes to the crime statistics, when it suits the opposition, when the recent crime statistics indicates a rising crime level in a province that they are managing, now there's an issue about the crime statistics. When the same instrument is being used and it indicates some improvements in a particular province, they have an issue. South Africans, they do have a lived experience. What are these issues of crime? And the statistics, they don't lie. We have indicated out of 17 crime categories, only 6 have increased, and the rest has decreased. But we are very humbled as the ANC government that there are plans and initiatives, as indicated in the National Development Plan and the outcome-based approach, to say, what are we doing? Therefore, if there are people who have problems with the crime statistics that are there, these are the official figures that as government, the team that is working on them, they do quality assurance, and they are accepted as credible. Even other agencies that are very independent, they are able to indicate that we are indeed making progress as a country. Our interventions are working. We don't need people that are not going to be part of an effort to assist our country to move forward. Our message is that crime affects our own people. Our own people are going to be their own liberators. Join hands with our own government. Let's fight crime in our own neighborhoods, and we'll start to see the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Excuse me, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Many times in this House, when some members become disrespectful and call Honorable Zille Madam, the members on the other side stand up simultaneously and shout at us. We have disciplined our members not to do that. But Honorable Kola Barnard calls the Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Piecha, that same woman. Honorable Piecha, sorry, Mrs. Piecha is not, you can say that because you are comfortable, you don't care about her. We care about all our civil servants, including this particular one. If you disrespect any one of us, you are disrespecting all of us. And because of that, we will never rest until you recognize us as human beings too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I didn't make that, understand that, but what I can say is that please, let's make sure that we respect everybody in his position or her position. And not go further on that. My next one, Honorable Mashabela, EFF.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. You know me very well. Honorable Chair, thank you. Clearly, crime is on the increase, as stated already. It must be very disparate citizens who call back a commissioner of police engulfed in corruption, like we heard in the media yesterday. In plain language, why are the South African police losing this battle? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think the statistics are available. They must be read correctly. In terms of our own categorization, there are 17 categories of crime. If you put your numbers well, out of 17, only 6 are on the increase, especially the violent crimes. When you say 17 minus 6, it means there are 11 crime categories, which is a fact. 11 crime categories, we have seen a decrease in various provinces. On average, that decrease amounts to 0.4%, or if you report between the 2 financial years. This issue to say police are losing the battle is lost because there is no understanding that crime is a societal problem. The police are part of a cog and an instrument of the state in the hands of the people to be able to address the conditions in which our people fight. Those men and women are working so hard in keeping you and I safe. They have kept this country safe for the last 20 years. We can be in a position to indicate the fact of the matter that Mr. Hadeb, who slaughtered our children and raped them in Deep Sloot, that he got 9 life sentences, is thanks to the police good work. We must also admit that what happened to the national captain of Bafana Bafana, those men and women are always working so hard. They've apprehended suspects. But we are saying that more still needs to be done. If communities are not part of the solution, we are living in an area with high walls and security fence. You will never understand the plight of our people. Our people understand their plight. We've created conditions and structures that are there. Let's use our structures to deal with the issues of crime and let those who are living in glass houses and high walls and say those men and women are not doing their job when they are being safeguarded by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, gestures. You know what I mean. Can we allow the ministers to respond and you listen, please? The last one to ask the question is Honorable Mponchani.
Thank you, Chairperson, Honourable Minister. My statistics are correct when I say that there's been a sharp increase in incidents of murder and rape at our higher education institutions. Examples include the rape of a student at Wits University and the murder of another student at the Tshwane University of Technology at the Soshanguve North Campus. My question, Honourable Minister, has the Minister of Police met with the Minister of Education to develop a strategy on how to deal with the ongoing violence at our tertiary institutions? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, I will not be in a position to say whether the minister have met or not. But what we know in terms of our justice, crime and prevention security cluster is that any loss of life is one too many. And this, as a country, an ANC-led government, we are always saddened by those particular incidents. We have noted the incidents at the universities that we are mentioning, and as we have said, our own structures, because those matters were reported to the police. And those cases We're working with the university management, and we're appealing to those people from those universities to cooperate with the investigations. Remember, some of the campuses are secured, some of the campuses are not secured. Therefore, the security of our own students, whether in higher educations, whether in boarding school, it remains a matter of concern for us as this government. We are making a call that those who have information on the two incidents, let them report, but we'll be able to put more emphasis in those particular areas. Remember, even if you go to boarding schools, there is an issue of substance abuse. You go to certain schools working with the Department of Education, it's not a new matter, where children, they bring weapons to school, not only in universities. And that's why safety at school is one of the programs of this government. You can go all over, we've prioritized safety in schools, ensure that there is also some stringent measures that they are being put in place to deal with those particular conditions. But as we have said, we don't want to see any life lost because there is a human element. Therefore, the police, as I conclude, must be supported by all of us, must be encouraged. Where they are not doing well, there are programs. They are being trained. Where there are rogue elements within the police services, decisive actions are being taken. And there are oversight mechanisms that yourselves as members of parliament, we have established to deal with those. But to cast aspersion on those men and women, that will not be good for our country. As the ANC-led government and the people of this country, we do have confidence in those men and women who serve us and are serving us well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Order, honorable members, the time allocated for questions has expired. Outstanding replies received will be
House
printed
Chair.
in Hansard.
House Chair, on a point of order.
Okay.
Chair, it was either the Speaker or the Deputy Speaker who said at the beginning that an extra 30 minutes had been added to today's question time, specifically to deal with the questions that stood over from Minister Davies from his absence last week. But he
Marina,
has not dealt
don't
with those questions. He used at maximum 10 minutes to deal with one of them, and the other 20 minutes has been absorbed by the other cabinet members' non-answers. So the
Honorable member, are you saying there are non-answers? Did I hear you well?
evasive maneuvers, perhaps, but
Honorable member, you can't do that. You
My-
can't do that. I want to respond to you, but can you just withdraw that non-answers?
withdrawn.
Thank you. Honorable members, the time for questions is up to 5 o'clock. If you check your time, we have actually added more than the 30 minutes that was expected. We are now on a different issue. I see two people.
Chair,
Yes.
the 30 minutes was added specifically to deal with the questions posed to Minister Davies.
Honorable member, or Mr. Davis was in the House. Questions were answered by Honorable Davis
One question.
as the minister. It depends on the, you don't have to argue with me. You know how we work.
Okay.
And the questions are listed as they are listed. And if another member has to come in, he will come in. We don't have to, even if he was here, he wouldn't answer 6 questions at a go. He will answer according to the number and the sequence. Can we understand each other?
Okay.
Please, honorable members, stop arguing and sit down. I think I've answered you.
Can I just address you, Chair?
No. I think you have made your point and you have been clarified. Thank you very much. Sit down.
Check. Can I just place on record my objection to
Or
that?
you want to place something on record?
Yes, please.
Please?
I'd like to place on record, Chairperson, that Minister Davies evaded answering questions in this
No.
House last week.
That-
and
that-
he has done so again today. And it's
No.
not acceptable.
Okay, thank you very much.
House
Is
Chairperson.
that a point of order?
Can I address you, House Chairperson?
Okay.
On the particular issue that my honourable colleague has just referred to, it was made very clear that the Minister would deal with the 3 outstanding questions that were posed to him. that he
Honourable-
did- Sorry, Chair, can I
Honorable
finish, please?
member, We have a sequence that we follow.
Yes.
We have got processes that we follow. Let us not deviate from that.
But,
If
Chairperson-
we have security cluster questions, it doesn't mean all the security, the police questions that are 3 will be answered. Let me not start a workshop in this house, but allow me to continue. Sit down. Honorable Davis?
Point of
Is
order,
that-
may I register my serious objection to any allegations that I evaded questions either last week
Thank you,
or this week.
Honourable-
I answered the questions. I'm ready
Honourable-
to answer.
Honorable Minister, you are covered. Please take your seat. We now go to notices of motion. Does anyone wish to give a notice of a motion? Honorable Gul, you know.
Thank you, House Chair. Chair, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the worrying increase in the social assistance being granted along political lines. I so move.
Next one. I saw a hand this side. Yes, honorable member. Noted.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the severe effect that rolling blackouts will have on our nation's ability to ramp up industrialization, including beneficiation, as envisaged in IPAP and the NDP. I so move.
Thank you. Before you speak, the noise I can't hear. Honorable members, there's too much movement on both sides of the House. Can we please minimize that? NFP? NFP?
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move that on the next sitting day of this House, the House deliberates on high incidence of violence in tertiary institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Singh, IFP?
Thank you, House Chairperson. On behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that the House debate the moving of non-religious public holidays to the nearest Friday or Monday within the week in which they fall, so as to minimize the associated negative economic impact on the working week. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Honorable Msimang?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the IFP, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that the House debate the current state of maintenance of all operational contributing power stations in South Africa, as well as the measures that can be put in place to ensure that they are routinely and correctly maintained, as ESCOM is clearly not equal to this task. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable ANC, Honorable Khadebe.
Thank you, Chair. I move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debate curbing the ramping and vandalism and arson attack on that destroys the trains that cost millions of rands to be replaced. I so move.
Thank you. EFF?
Madam Chair, I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters. That in the next sitting of the House debate, that in the light of the report that South Africa is on the tipping point of water crisis, which could render the country water less and risk the security of water in the next 5 years. Problem as a result of poor infrastructure maintenance and continued privatization of this scarce resource. What measures should the country take, particularly the Department of Forestry and Water Affairs, to secure the South African water? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mdau?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting, the House debate combating the alarming rate at which the liquor outlets are operating next to the place of worship and learning institutions. I so move.
Thank you. That is the end. Oh, Honorable Kellen, he's the last.
Thank you,
Oh.
House Chair. I hereby give notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the mandate of the UN Security Council and the need to reform it.
Thank you very much. Honorable Sinoli.
Madam Speaker, I move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debates reviving crime-fighting structures in our communities in support of law enforcement agencies. I so move.
Thank you. EFF.
Thank you. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates that the peace century is not dead, but misguided, and agrarian policies and choices are inimical to its growth, smallholder agriculture, and the vision of a self-sufficient and flourishing countryside. Thank you.
Thank you. ANC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates engaging pharmaceutical companies to prioritize investment in TB and multi-drug resistant TB in South Africa, Africa, and the world, and the developing world. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I miss a hand at the corner there? ANC? Did I miss a hand? No, you are done. Okay. DA followed by EFF, you are the last. Thank you. When? PJ.
Okay. Thank you. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the role of government in advancing the recycling of non-degradable goods and promoting a culture of recycling in South Africa.
Thank you. EFF.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The EFF moves that in its next sitting, the House debates alternatives to the addictive fixation of neoliberal economics with foreign direct investments as necessary precursors to economic freedom and growth, an economically free country liberated from the shackles of neocolonialism and imperialism. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Mguni, ANC, the last
Thank you very much,
on
House Chair.
this one.
I move on behalf of the ANC that at the next sitting, the House debates the strengthening management and control of the South African borders. I so move, Honorable House Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the notices of motions. We now come to motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Can I start up there? Honorable member at the back? We will know you. Don't worry.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this House knows the findings of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, produced by 800 scientists from across the world, which confirms that the atmosphere and oceans have warmed, the global amount of snow and ice has diminished, the sea level has risen, and the concentration of carbon dioxide has increased to a level unprecedented in at least the last 800,000 years. And this House also notes in particular that emission mainly from the burning of fossil fuels may lead to drop to zero by the end of this century for the world to have a decent chance of keeping the temperature rise below a level that many consider dangerous. That this House knows that South Africa is one of the top 20 countries in the world measured by absolute carbon dioxide emission, with emission per capita in the region of 10 tons a year. that House call upon all industries and players in South Africa to double all efforts to cut greenhouse gas emission ahead of targets committed to at 2009 Governing Conference of Parties. All members of this House commit personally to lead by example in their constituency offices.
Honorable member, can we please make sure that we do motions without notice and not statements? Let us please do that. I think we have been listening many a times, we now can differentiate. Are you done, honorable member?
I saw more.
Okay. If there are no objections, I put the motions. Objection? No objections, agreed to. Honorable member, there. Yes, you.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this honorable House notes the media reports that to date, 195,000 Zimbabwean citizens have in recent weeks applied to remain in South Africa under the new Zimbabwe Special Permits dispensation, which is a successor to the Dispensation for Zimbabwean project, and aims to deal with the influx of people seeking economic opportunities in 2010, with a further 50,000 estimated to do so by the end of November 2014. And that this honorable House further notes the reassurance given by the Department of Home Affairs that the renewal of these permits will not lead to any form of naturalization at all, and that the permit will be valid for 3 years only. Once that time is up, all Zimbabweans with ZSP permits will be required to apply for standard study, work or business visas in order to remain, and will have to return to Zimbabwe to do so. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honorable Matlalela.
Thanks, Chair. On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, I move without notice that the House notes the sudden passing on of Ibamba Lesilo and the chairperson of Umzinyati House of Traditional Leaders, Joseph Giane, recently. Further notes that Giane has been appointed by His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini to look after the area of Wajama on his behalf. Acknowledges that Giane was a member of the Executive Committee of KZN Provincial House of Traditional Leaders. Convey condolences to his family and the KZN House of Traditional Leaders. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honorable NFP Chief Whip.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I move on behalf of the NFP without notice that the House knows that talks on a minimum wage between labor, business, and government are ongoing. Further acknowledges the fact that the discussion on minimum wage is very crucial when it is viewed in the light of the fact that our country faces the unemployment rate of 35.8%, the sluggish economic growth, and poverty levels that grow unabatedly. Hereby calls upon government, organized labor, and business to quickly resolve on the issue of minimum wage in order to address the high levels of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. Is that an objection? Oh, no. No objections, agreed to. I'm coming. Please. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I hereby
on behalf of Democratic Alliance, that the House note with sadness the passing away of Buti Simon Rampa Mlaudzi, an upcoming young journalist, presenter of Soweto TV, who sadly passed away yesterday on the 4th of November 2014. Further notes that he was a young, well-known figure in the community, a mentor of so many young people in Soweto, acknowledge the role he played in uplifting, developing young people in the area of journalism. Further notes the momentous impact he had on the community in the area of journalism. We convey our sincere condolences to friends, Soweto TV staff, Rampa's family, and Mlaudzi's family. Lalango Kolo, may his soul rest in peace. I so move.
Are there any objections? I put the motion. None. No objections agreed to. Honorable Mashabela.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice that the House knows that the ongoing protests by residents in Budeli and Dumasi in Limpopo have blockaded the Malamulele Toyando Road with stones and burning tires, demanding water. Note that this is despite millions of rands spent for water on Nandoni Dam. Further note that the department responsible, please, the ruling party, keep quiet so that you can hear what I'm saying. Thank you. Further note that the department responsible...
Honorable members, order. Order. Continue.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Further note that the department responsible made a commitment to the residents of Vembe district that the water would be fully functional by September this year. Condemn the use of violence by police against residents who simply demands better services but failed by the ruling party. Condemn the lies and empty promises made by the ruling party. So I move. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
If there are any objection, objections are noted, the motion falls down. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Nkada Freedom Party without notice that the House, one, welcomes the yachts and crew of the Volvo Ocean Race as they arrive in Cape Town later this week, recognizes the significant increase in tourism revenue and employment opportunities this event creates in the city of Cape Town and for South Africa as a whole, salutes the
Honorable members, sorry, Mr. Singh, we can't hear him. Continue.
salutes the brave men and women who are undertaking this grueling global yacht race and wishes them Godspeed and safe journey until race end in Sweden's second largest city of Gothenburg.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. EFF, the honorable member here.
My name is Lengiwe,
Sorry.
Madam Chair.
Sorry, Chairperson, I think you want to put the motion.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake, you see? Please. The motion by Honorable Singh. Do you have any objections? No objections, agreed to. EFF? Lower your voices, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. The economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice that the House notes that during the Falam Commission, it emerged that the loan mill is involved in practices of transfer pricing and profit shifting as a form of tax avoidance. Further note that during his response to the question asked about transfer pricing in the National Council of Provinces, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa said, tax avoidance and transfer pricing are not criminal activities. Further note that transfer pricing, profit shifting, and base erosion deprive South Africa of billions of potential revenue, which will be used to benefit poor people on the ground. Further note, in the period where loan mill was transfer pricing, avoiding tax, and refusing to pay workers 12,500, The company paid a company owned by Deputy President more than 400 million, and that Shanduka has since claimed that such payment were a loan. Ridiculous. Call on
Honorable-
government to
Honorable
strengthen
member.
its laws, combat all form transfer pricing,
Honorable member.
and act on greedy capitalists to
On the-
kill profit. Thank you, Chair. So I move.
Honorable member, before I continue, please, I have warned against making statements rather than notice of motions, please.
Thank you, Chair, but it
And
is a
if-
motion without notice.
Okay. If there are no objections, I put the motion. The motion falls down. Honorable Mjobo, ANC. Honorable yourself.
On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, I move without notice that the House note with sadness the death of Tandile Khukwana, who lost his life due to shack fires that destroyed 18 shacks at Marcus Garvey in Philip East informal settlement on Saturday night, 1st of November 2014, leaving 56 people displaced. Further notes that 30 more shacks were also destroyed by fire at Mandela Park informal settlements in Hot Bay. On Sunday, 2nd November 2014, making 60 people homeless, encourages people to be cautious as shack fires are more abundant at this time of the year, and conveys condolences to the Khukwana family. I so move.
Thank you, honorable member. Then, if there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. The last hand I have seen is Honorable Twala. No. Done.
Thank you, Chair. The Economic Freedom Fighters rise to move that the House notes the continuing white racism in South Africa in the light of reported segregated toilets in Face Central office in Louis Trichardt, Limpopo. Further notes that such practices are not limited to rural towns, but even in major cities like Johannesburg and Cape Town. Knows that the University of Witwatersrand had a similar policy when it came to black cleaning staff, which management justified through its outsourced policy. Note that the South African Human Rights Commission is set to launch an investigation into this matter, condemn this act of white racism in the harshest terms possible, acknowledge that racism is not a crime in South Africa, further note that the need to criminalize racism is urgent. Further recommends that the Human Rights Commission's report on its findings and recommendations to Parliament. I so move.
If there are no objections to the motion, I put the motion. No objection, agreed to. Honorable, is it Morabella? You're fine. Done. We are the last one, ANC, Honorable Mahlalela.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, I move without notice that the House notes that South Africa's Olympic gold medalist, Chadlet Close, and Hungary's Katinga Hosu were the overall winners of the FINA Swimming World Cup Series, which ended in Singapore on Sunday, the 2nd November 2014. Further notes that Letlos won a gold in the 100 meters butterfly in the final day to add his 2 gold medalists in the 50 meters and 200 meters butterfly events on Saturday. Acknowledges that although coming close to world records in all his races, he again just missed out in his last race. Recalls that with a tally of 27 gold medals in the series, which took place over 7 legs, starting at Doha in August, it was the 3rd time Letlos had won the prestigious title with a purse of $100,000, and congratulate Letlos for his performance. I so move.
Thank you. If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Order on. Nobody has registered an objection, agreed to. Please don't do that. Honorable members, don't do that. Please, don't do that. I'm not going to allow. Are you objecting? I don't want any statements. Is,
No. Kusemthethweni kuthiwa khona abantu abazitupeti la.
Honorable member, can I hear you well? Is it parliamentary? Let me translate. Is it
No, ungadlalwa ngathi la. Akusikho isilima la.
Honorable member, state your issue. State your issue. Anybody who called honorable member stupid?
Yes.
Can you please stand? The one who did that.
This honorable member of the DA. Call the
Honorable
member
Mackenzie.
Of the stupid.
Honorable Mackenzie. Okay, Honorable Mashabela. And honorable member,
No,
please,
man,
if you
stupid
do
word is
that,
a stupid word.
honorable member, with those gestures, I will be unable to assist you. Please listen. There's a complaint by Honorable Kaula that she was called a stupid. Now I want to verify that. The finger is pointed at Honorable Mackenzie. Honorable Mackenzie, did you say that?
Thank you, Honourable House Chairman. I did not call the member stupid. Thank you, Chairman.
Unfortunately, the mic was off. I can't rule on that matter, but if you do that, please, this is a house. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Honorable Chair.
Chairperson.
Yes, he did so. Or maybe he was meaning that he's stupid himself.
Okay, honorable member, now you are making my work more difficult.
No, but Honorable Chair, I'm here.
Okay.
I was sitting this side.
Yes.
And the word stupid clearly came from that side.
From
Clearly,
Honorable
yes, he mustn't
Mackenzie.
deny something. We had it even this side.
Honorable Mackenzie.
Chairperson, I withdraw my comment.
Honorable Mackenzie, please stand. Honorable members, order. Honorable Mackenzie, did you call the honorable member a stupid?
No, House Chairperson, I did not. What I said, and I will say this for the Hansard, was the objection to Chad Leclos winning a race. Celebrate this House celebrating Chad
Honourable
Leclos winning
member.
a race. I said the objection was stupid. I did not say the member was stupid. Thank you, House Chairperson. But I withdraw the remark.
I will report, I will make investigation and see how we rule on that matter. I'm not going to rule now.
Honorable Chair,
order.
may I address you? I think the member is incorrect. He was saying the objection.
And
He's
there's
stupid, and nobody objected.
I know that. Sit down, honorable member. That's why I'm saying I will get advice on this issue. Order, honorable members. That
Honorable Chair,
concludes.
excuse me.
Honorable
There's a
Baba.
witness from that side, and there are witnesses here who heard him say so. There are witnesses here who heard him say that.
Honorable Shenge Baba, I have a problem
Chairperson.
in ruling.
On a
Please
point of
sit
order.
down. I'm speaking. I have a problem in ruling now. That's why I say I'm going to seek advice. Even though he was heard, there's nothing on Hansard about that. But we will deal with it, I promise. Can you allow me to continue, please? Ngehlonipho enkulu, Baba Shenge. That the honorable members, that concludes the business for the day and the House is adjourned.